I want to just do a little short video about talking about risk, because risk is something that frightens a lot of people, but I think also it's not always obvious that risk is actually there. So let me give you an example. It's all too easy to say that somebody's experiencing suicidal ideation, but that doesn't really say what the risk is, if risk is indeed present there. So the first thing to do would be to bottom out what that term actually means for a particular person. It could be that they felt suicidal once, as in they had the thought that I don't really want to be here. Is there any risk associated with that? Well, you could say in the long term there might be risk of that getting worse, of having more thoughts like that, maybe feeling depressed, lack of motivation, and that could have a knock-on impact on all sorts of parts of their life. It could then go to the extreme of turning into behaviours and actions that could cause them to act in a suicidal way, or a way that might cause a risk to their life. But that's just the term suicidal ideation. We don't actually know what it means when we're just using those two words. So first thing is, you've got to identify what is the risk at the moment. Step 2 is managing the risk. So if somebody's saying they have suicidal thoughts, is there any risk to manage there? I would say, if that's the extent of it at the moment, possibly not really, not proactively. You want to give people a bit of space, time to reflect on it. You can check in with them, how they're doing, how they're feeling about that sort of stuff. But there's nothing real in terms of plan or behaviours that you need to manage there. Go a little bit further when people say they're thinking about doing something. Okay, so you could bottom out what is the something they're thinking of doing. And then you've obviously got something a bit more specific you could look at. They're thinking about taking an overdose. Okay, is this something you've done before? Because remember, past behaviour is an indicator of future behaviour. If it's not, that's a lower risk. If it is something they've done before, they talk about it and they've done it before, then obviously risk is then a lot higher of them doing it again. And then I guess you've got the top level of, we have some risk that we need to manage, and that is where somebody says that they've not only had suicidal thoughts, they've not only started to think about ways they could do it, they've actually got a concrete plan. They know exactly how they would do it. They know how many tablets they would take. They've done the research. They know what would be enough. They've got the means to do it. They've got access to the tablets. They've got a time to do it when there won't be anybody checking in on them for a certain amount of time, something like that. So that's a very specific plan, where they've done the preparation, they've got the access and the means. So then you do have some actual risk to manage, and you need to be looking at, when you're disclosing this to us, that suggests you're wanting some help. But also, maybe they're just telling you so they've got somebody to tell. So you need to check in with them. Yeah, is this something that we can do anything about, that you're wanting us to do something about, or was this just that you were letting us know about it? If it's the latter, then you need to look at, well, where are they going to be at a particular time when this plan is due to take place? So there you've got something a bit more concrete in terms of risk. So starting off, remember, assess what risk there is. Don't just say, suicidal ideation, okay. Do we really know what that means? So let's work out what it actually means, what it can turn into. And then when you do the risk assessment, think to yourself, is this something we just need to kind of keep a close eye on? Is it something that actually maybe a lot of people experience, it kind of comes and goes? Or is it the other end of the scale, and is it something that's very concrete, very specific, that we need to make sure has been passed over to other people involved in this person's care? Or is it that there is nobody else that's going to be involved at a time when this matters, therefore we have to take some action ourselves? Maybe I have to take some action myself, whatever that action might be. And then the last thing I suppose I want to say is positive risk taking. Positive risk taking would be whereby it's identified that there's some sort of risk, like we've just talked about, but we choose to not do anything proactive, other than perhaps make some sort of safety plan of a conversation with the person involved, but we don't do anything proactive to stop them from doing that. And the idea is that this is giving responsibility to the person to manage it for themselves, give them the belief that they can cope, they can do it themselves. rather than saying, right, we're going to come round and take away all your tablets, we're going to put you on one-to-one observations for the next 3 days to cover that sort of period when you say you're going to do this. That would not be positive risk taking. That would be being very risk averse. Positive risk taking, which is deemed to be sort of therapeutically a very positive thing to do, as long as it's not done in a way which makes people feel like they're just being dismissed and left to fend for themselves. Positive risk taking can be very empowering for people. So saying to them, okay, I hear this is going on for you. You know where to contact should you take this overdose, for example. You can come to us then to get support and obviously to get medical attention. But until that point, I'm going to hope that that little portion of you, that fraction of you that doesn't want to do this, that does want to stay alive, is going to prevail, and put all my faith in that part of you. And if you then still take an overdose, I'm going to put my faith in that part of you that wants to stay alive to contact emergency services for help and support. And then you see what happens. And that's positive risk taking. There you go, little summary of risk and how I view it and how I deal with it.